It was one of those nights. The kind where the rain pounds the roof like it's pissed at you. I was sitting in my living room, scrolling through my phone, just vibing, you know? My parents were out of town, so I had the house to myself. It was midnight, and the only sound was the storm outside. The power flickered for a sec, but that was it. I wasn't even tripping. Storms like this didn't freak me out. Or at least, they didn't used to. I was texting my friend about some dumb movie I'd just watched when I heard it. A thud, like something heavy falling. I froze for a second, thinking it was just the house creaking or maybe something outside getting knocked over by the wind. But then I heard it again, closer this time. Another thud, and this time it was way too loud. I got up and walked over to the window, peeking through the blinds. The yard was soaked, the grass turning into mud under the relentless rain. But there was nothing out there. No movement, no shadows. Just the damn storm. I shook it off, thinking I was just being paranoid. But then the back door, a glass sliding door, let out this low creak. And I knew someone was in my house. Bam! The sound made me jump. It came from the kitchen, like someone had thrown themselves against the wall. My heart was beating out of my chest now, the adrenaline kicking in. I grabbed my phone, trying to dial 911, but my hands were shaking too much. I had no idea what to do, how to react. So I did what anyone would do in a horror movie. I ran upstairs. I locked the bedroom door behind me, but I couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. My phone was still in my hand, the 911 screen open, but I couldn't even speak. I was too scared. I wasn't even sure I was making any sense when I whispered, "Help! Someone's in my house." I tried to hide under the bed, like that was going to do anything, but all I could hear were footsteps, heavy footsteps. Boom, boom, boom. They were pacing around the first floor. And the worst part? I could hear them talking. Low, menacing voices. They weren't even trying to hide it. "Where the hell is she?" one of them growled. His voice was deep, like thunder rolling in from a distance. The other one just laughed. "She's upstairs. You think she's gonna hide? Let's go get her." I didn't dare move. I could feel the tears prickling at the corners of my eyes, but I couldn't let them hear me crying. I had to be quiet. I had to survive this. Then I heard it, the sound of the sliding glass door opening. Someone was inside, and they weren't being subtle. Footsteps shuffled across the kitchen. The sound of drawers opening, closing. They were looking for something. Or maybe they were just toying with me. "Yo, check this out," one of them said. "She's not even here. What if we just trash the place?" "No," the other one replied, his tone serious now. "She's gotta be here. I know she's here." Then there was a pause. "You think she'll scream when we catch her?" The way he said that made my stomach drop. I couldn't stay in this room. I knew I couldn't. I had to move, had to make a plan. But I couldn't think straight. I felt like the walls were closing in on me. I peeked around the corner of the room, trying to listen for anything. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then a faint creak from downstairs. They were coming up the stairs. I held my breath and crouched, trying to stay hidden. I could hear their voices clearer now. One of them was talking about his tattoos. Like, who even does that in a moment like this? "Check out this snake," the bald guy said. "Took like 3 hours to finish. Worth it though." The other guy snorted. "You should have got something cooler. Like a skull. Or a knife. Something badass." Their laughter echoed in the hallway, and I realized they were getting closer. I had no time to think. I grabbed my phone, frantically searching for the nearest window. I had to get out. I had to survive. But then, just as I was about to make my move, I heard a door crack open downstairs. "Yo," the bald guy called out. "She's in here. In the bedroom. I can smell her fear." I froze. My heart raced. They were standing right outside my door. The handle rattled, and the door shifted. My breath caught in my throat. They were trying to get in. "Come on, open the damn door," one of them yelled. "I'm not gonna ask again." I couldn't think of anything. I just reacted. I scrambled across the floor, grabbed the nearest object I could find, a lamp, and hurled it at the window. It shattered on impact. The noise was loud. Too loud. The rain was pouring in, and I could feel the cold air hit me. But I didn't care. I dove through the broken window, cutting my hands and arms on the shards of glass. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I hit the ground, bleeding and soaking wet, but I didn't stop. I bolted for the neighbor's house, my feet slipping on the slick ground. I could hear them yelling behind me. The one with the snake tattoo was getting closer. I could hear his heavy breathing, his boots slapping against the pavement. Just when I thought I couldn't run anymore, I saw it. the porch light from my neighbor's house. I was almost there. I banged on their door, my heart racing. No answer. I pounded again, louder this time. But it was no use. The porch light flickered, and I turned around. The bald guy was standing in the yard, staring at me with those dark eyes. He grinned, and that smile, sent chills down my spine. "Run all you want," he called out, his voice low and almost playful. "We'll be seeing you real soon." I don't know how, but I made it to the street. I found a stranger's car, the door was unlocked, and I jumped inside, locking it as fast as I could. The rain beat against the windshield, blurring my vision. I looked out into the night, trying to catch my breath, trying to make sense of it all. But there was no sign of them. The cops showed up later, but by then, they were gone. No prints, no evidence, just a trail of blood from the glass window and a broken door. And, of course, the message. It wasn't on paper, though. It was scratched into the wood of my front door. "You can't hide forever." I still don't know who those guys were, or how they knew I was home, but they know my face now. And sometimes, when it's raining real hard, I swear I can hear them laughing. See you soon. I haven't stayed at that house since. And honestly, I never will. The thought of those two massive guys, their tattoos, their laughter, it haunts me. But the worst part? The part that still keeps me up at night? I know they're out there, waiting. I couldn't shake it off, no matter how much time passed. It didn't matter that I was staying at a friend's house, or that I'd changed my number. The nightmares were relentless. Every time the wind howled or the rain pounded the roof, my heart would race, my mind would flash to those two men. It's been 3 weeks since it happened. I thought I could move on, start over. I started locking every door and window before bed. I even installed security cameras, though, honestly, I'm not sure why. The cops told me it was probably just some random break-in, but I knew better. This wasn't random. These guys weren't just looking for some stuff to steal. They were after me. One night, I finally worked up the courage to go back to my house, grab a few things, and put it behind me for good. I thought maybe if I got my things back, it would feel like it was over, like I could move on. But as soon as I stepped inside, something felt off, like the air had changed. It was heavier. And then, as I walked through the front door, I noticed it. The smell. It was faint, like something had rotted somewhere in the house. I wasn't sure if it was coming from the kitchen or the basement, but I didn't want to find out. Not after everything. I turned the lights on, and the house was completely still, just like how I left it. Everything looked normal, but my skin was crawling, like I wasn't alone. That's when I heard it, the unmistakable sound of the floor creaking. Slow, heavy. I froze. I held my breath and listened. Another creak. Closer this time. My pulse was pounding in my ears. I didn't even dare to breathe. My hands were clammy as I slowly reached for my phone, ready to dial 911 again. But before I could press the screen, I heard it, clear as day, right behind me. "You think you're safe?" It was a voice. Deep, gravelly. The kind of voice that could scrape the flesh off your bones if you let it. My heart dropped to my stomach. I didn't need to turn around. I knew who it was. That same low laugh, the one that haunted my nightmares, echoed through the hall. I bolted. I ran for the front door, but it wouldn't budge. I pulled and yanked, but the damn thing was stuck. Then, I remembered. The back door. I darted toward the kitchen, but the moment I passed through the threshold, I saw it. The glass door was wide open, and on the floor, where the glass had shattered weeks ago, there were fresh boot prints. Huge boot prints. My stomach twisted. They were back. I grabbed my jacket, ran out the back, and into the storm, not caring that I was barefoot again. I could hear them coming, their footsteps heavy and sure. I ran as fast as I could, barely seeing through the rain. I was desperate to make it to the street, but as I reached the edge of the yard, I stopped. There was something wrong. The street was empty. Not a single car. No lights. Just the sound of the storm pounding the earth like a warning. I looked over my shoulder, and there they were. The two of them, standing in the driveway, watching me. The bald one, with his snake tattoo, stepped forward. His smile was sickening, stretching across his face like it belonged to something else entirely. The other guy was just watching, not moving, not speaking. I had nowhere to go. My phone was useless. I was trapped. "Thought you could get away, huh?" the bald one said. His voice wasn't even threatening. It was playful, like he was enjoying this. The rain blurred my vision, but I could see enough to know I was completely out of options. "Please," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the storm. "I'll do anything. Just leave me alone." He took another step closer, and my heart skipped a beat. His eyes, those cold, dead eyes, locked onto mine, and for a split second, I thought maybe I'd heard him wrong. Maybe I was imagining things. "But no, I'll let you go," he said softly. "But not yet. You're gonna come back. You'll always come back. We'll be seeing you soon." And then they turned, just like that, and walked back toward the house. No words, no goodbyes. Just the rain falling harder than ever before, like the world was drowning beneath it. That's the last time I ever went back to that place. And the worst part? Sometimes, when it rains real hard, I swear I hear footsteps on my porch. Heavy boots. Like they're standing right outside, waiting for me. They know where I am. And I know they're still watching. The nights started getting longer after that. I couldn't sleep. Not really. Every creak in the house, every gust of wind, had my heart pounding in my chest. I kept the lights on, even though I knew it didn't help. I'd lock the doors, double-check the windows, and stare out into the rain, waiting for something, anything, to happen. But nothing did. Not at first. Then, one evening, a week after the storm, I got a message. No number. Just the usual. "We're still here." My fingers froze over the screen. The last time I saw those words, it was from a blocked number. But this time, it was different. It wasn't just a message. There was something attached to it. A picture. A picture of my house. From the street. Right there in front of my front door. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the image. It was dark, grainy, and the rain distorted the edges. But I could make it out. There, on the porch, standing in the shadows, two figures. I couldn't see their faces, but I didn't need to. I could feel their eyes on me through the screen. I knew who it was. My phone buzzed again, and this time it was a voice message. I almost didn't play it, but curiosity won. I tapped the play button. "Guess you didn't learn your lesson," the voice growled, low and familiar. "Next time, don't bother running. You won't get far." The message ended, and for a moment, everything was still. I thought maybe I had imagined it. But then it happened again. The knock at the door. It was soft at first. Just a tap, like someone testing the wood. I told myself it was the wind. It had to be. I wasn't ready to face whatever was on the other side. But when the knock came again, louder this time, I couldn't breathe. The sound echoed through the house, shaking the walls. I grabbed the nearest thing, a baseball bat my brother had left in the closet, and I crept to the door. My heart was racing. I couldn't tell if the knocking was real or just in my head, but I wasn't taking any chances. I stood there, staring at the doorknob, waiting. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run, to hide, to leave. But I couldn't. Not without knowing. Not without seeing them again. I didn't open the door, but I looked through the peephole. The rain had stopped. There, standing just outside, were the two of them. The bald one with the snake tattoo, grinning like a madman. And the other, the one who always stood back and watched, his face half hidden under the hood. I could barely make out their faces. They were too close. Too real. The bald one knocked again, this time with purpose. "Come on, kid. Open the door," he called, his voice muffled but clear. "Don't be shy. You've been avoiding us. But you're not going to get away." I backed away from the door, my legs shaking beneath me. I pressed my back against the wall, hoping they wouldn't hear the sound of my breath. My phone buzzed again. I looked down. A new message. "We're not leaving until you open up. Sooner or later, you'll have to face us. It's your turn now." I couldn't do it. I couldn't face them. I didn't care if the door was locked. It wouldn't stop them. It wouldn't stop them from breaking in again. I reached for the phone and texted my friend. "Help. They're here again. They're at my door." No response. I tried calling 911, but the line went dead before I could even speak. The storm, or whatever was happening, had cut out the power. It felt like the whole world was shutting down around me. Suddenly, the door handle rattled. A voice, softer this time, whispered through the cracks. "We'll be waiting inside." And then, silence. The knock stopped. The air around me went still. I dared to look through the peephole again. They were gone, but I knew they hadn't left. I could feel them, watching, waiting. I backed away from the door, but just as I turned to run, just as I ran for the back, there it was. The unmistakable sound of a phone ringing. It was my phone, and it was ringing from inside the house. I knew that ring. It was the same ring I had before all of this started. The same ringtone I'd had for years. I looked at the front door. The phone was inside, and I knew then. They were already in.